hands. All right. So few guys who just come in. So the format is very unlike what you would see in other rooms. The focus here more is on conversation, while the spotlight really is on the people on the stage. But the whole idea here is you have a very active role to play, not just in asking questions. Typically, this is what happens, right? So we kind of presume that, hey, we are here only to ask questions, but feel free to also share your experiences. If you don't believe in what the panelists are saying, you're perfectly okay to come and say, I don't agree with that. I think the other one would have worked better. So just that you guys have permission to really speak your mind out and also to share your experiences as well. So we'll have ample time for that. So with that, I'm going to quickly jump into the panel, and obviously you can see that the focus is really on products, because once you build a great product, it takes care of itself. Ask Jan Com, the guy who came out with WhatsApp, and the guy had like 51 people when we saw, actually 47, is that right? 47 people when he sold it off to Facebook, and even now with the billion users, it's just 57 people. That's it. And he still thinks he's overhired. So the whole idea is that once you start focusing really on awesome product, most things take care of themselves. And we have 5 people on stage who've done enormous amounts. So all these are product companies, right? So they have products and they've done enormous research in building a product. So we're going to pick their brains on how does this idea really fructify? How do they come about? How do they hire the right people? What kind of methodology did they go around building the product, launching the product, and marketing the product? So that's what we're going to be doing. So on stage, I'm going to invite Adhil Shetty, the founder and CEO of BankBazaar. Thank you, Adhil, for coming. Next up, I'm going to invite, oops, I thought I was banking on the screen, so let me just quickly take out all the names now. Give me a second. Got it. Next up, I'm going to invite Rajesh Yabaji, the co-founder of Blackbuck. It's a transportation enabler. So, Nikhil Jain, you're on. Thank you for coming, Nikhil. Nikhil is the founder of CredR. And next up, Deepit Purkayastha, who's the co-founder of Inshorts. Thank you, Deepit. And last but not least, Rachna Prasad, the Senior Vice President of Oxigen Wallet. Thank you for coming, Rachna. So guys, give them a warm Delhi welcome. Can we? Not all of us are familiar with all the companies that you guys have founded. So let's start it off by actually explaining what your product is in about 30 seconds or less. Rachna, you go first. Yes.
So, I had marketing for Oxigen Wallet, and this is essentially a mobile wallet that's seems to be the buzzword these days, and I'm sure most of you are users of mobile wallets. But just in a nutshell, it's a virtual wallet which resides in your phone and allows you to make transactions, your everyday transactions like your recharges, bill payments, shopping online, now even offline. And it essentially replaces your physical wallets for your everyday needs. That's what it is.
29 seconds. That's awesome, Rachna. That's very good. Yes, Deepit.
Hi. Uh, so uh, most of the people um nowadays do not have time to go through lengthy, boring news articles, right? So uh, that is the space that we operate in. We give news articles within 60 words each. So within 5 to 10 minutes a day, you can just get updated from all the sources about what's the top uh, stories that are recommended for you. So Inshorts is about just that.
In short, you bunked a lot of classes while you're studying. You built this and you became a very rich dude. Right? Thanks, Deepit.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm represent company CredR. I'm co-founder of CredR. CredR is building trust, transparency, and convenience in the whole use automobile space. We are a transaction-based model where we help buyer and seller actually transact through platform like us. And it's simple.
So how is it different from a car decor or a car wallet?
Yeah, so they are pure classified platforms where a transaction like an e-commerce model like Amazon, Flipkarts, where transaction happens through us. Like 40% of the people right now without seeing vehicle pairs upfront online.
Wow.
So 60% goes and see vehicles. So this is the whole disruption of the business model that we're trying to build.
Wow.
Thanks.
Thanks, Nikhil.
Hi guys, morning. I'm from Blackbuck. Blackbuck is a intercity marketplace for freight. So, as you're all aware that logistics is one of the really largely unorganized sector for the country, and of which actually more than 90-95% points is intercity freight, and these large commercial, heavy, medium and commercial vehicles which run on the roads. So what Blackbuck is attempting to do is create a platform where the transporters who own trucks, the completely fragmented base, and the consumers of freight, connecting both of them, so providing everybody on the platform the price discovery, uh, quality of the entire execution services. So that's what Blackbuck does.
Good morning, everyone. Looking forward to a great session, Kiruba. BankBazaar's purpose as a company is to help people access the right financial products. So across a range of 50 brands, 12 products, we connect the customer to the right product end to end. Our vision as a company is to be the leading marketplace that delivers instant financial services. So we're always challenging the status quo and figuring out why and how financial services can be delivered paperless, contactless on the mobile phone, and really pushing that agenda to democratize finance.
How many times, Adhil, did you stand in front of the mirror and rehearse that? That's like, wow, that's amazing. Thank you. So very quickly, I quickly wanted to ask, how many of us here are into products, meaning we have a company that has a product. Okay, that's impressive. How many of you are working in a company that has products? So I'm assuming the first round is okay, great. So it's excellent targeted crowd. So the next question, the next round of question for all of you is that when you got started with building your product, what sort of homework did you do? I'm assuming that you would have done a serious amount of research looking at best practices around. So can you walk us through that initial embryonic stage of how you started to build this product? Sure, Rachna.
So for Oxigen, the story has been a little different because Oxigen, I'm not sure whether you all of you know, but it's been into mobile payments for the past 10 years. And primarily in the service of, in the business of service aggregation. And they have been selling recharges and stuff through POS machines. So I don't know whether you've ever gone for a recharge to a kirana shop. If you went there, in all possibility, in fact, 99% of the time, it would be an Oxigen POS machine which was doing it. So when we thought of the mobile wallet, which was actually in 2008, much ahead of times. And we launched its first avatar in the form of something called Oxicash, because we said if something which is available, which we are anyway giving to to people through a kirana shop, why can we not enable the same feature on the mobile? Unfortunately, I think we were a little ahead of time, and then the regulation was not very proper around that period. We having joint partners in South Africa where mobile wallets has turned out to be a big success story. We always wanted to get into the space, but we just felt we were just waiting for the right timing to get into it. In 2013, we got the NPCI license, and that kind of opened the floodgates for us, and we realized that money transfer, which is peer-to-peer money transfer, is now going to become a very big story, both at retail as well as for the consumer. And that's when we went into it. Around the same time, there were enough industry reports. When we did our homework, we realized that there was enough industry reports which were now talking about mobile payments becoming the next big thing in India and Asia Pacific. And which is why we started building on the product. The first, the blueprint of the product was something which was very, very basic, something that we were offering at retail, which we just wanted to bring on to the website as well as on the mobile app. As we are progressing, a whole lot of work that we do is all based on customer insights and customer speak. So very recently we launched something like around 2 weeks back, we actually did a beta launch on a particular product which is called the Visa Prepaid. And this was completely based on customer insights, which told us that while they're using the wallets for their recharges and regular utility payments, etc., etc., they want the acceptance to be almost everywhere, so that we are actually able to replace cash and not just look at other means to pay, and not just replace a wallet with a credit card or any other shopping website, etc., etc. The Visa Prepaid, ever since we've launched, we are actually ourselves surprised with the numbers because of the kind of take-up rate that's happened. So each time that we launch a new feature, we basically go back to our existing pool of customers. We do an annual research with qualitative as well as quantitative research on existing profile users, non-profile users, and then figure out what's the kind of thing that these people are looking for within an app, and start developing a story on that. So that's been our approach so far.
Thanks, Rachna.
On the BankBazaar side, there were two things we did. One is we understood that where the market in India was in terms of financial services, that's across banking, across investments, across savings, across protection, was that we're a very data-rich market. So everyone has a net banking account. Everyone has automated pay slips. Everyone has a PAN number. But essentially, the process itself was very manual. So I think the first thing we did is an as-is understanding of where the market in India today is. And we found that in 2008, all the building blocks for instant paperless services were available. All of this information was electronic on the bank side or on a third-party database side. I think the good thing with us, right, is our vision has always been clear. Our vision has been paperless, contactless financial services. And we've never had to pivot on that vision. Back in 2008, when we started, we knew that this is what would disrupt financial services in India, which is paperless, contactless sales. I think what we've realized we should do, right, is that it's going to take time to build towards that vision. And hence we need to take baby steps every quarter to move closer and closer and closer to that paperless vision, right? We couldn't do it back in 2008, we couldn't do it in 2009, but sitting in 2016, definitely the possibility of getting this done, right, so that anyone in a small town, anywhere with their mobile phone should be able to consume a banking product or a protection product or an investment product that is almost reality today. So I think we evaluated where the market stood, we had a clear vision, and we decided every quarter we would take baby steps towards it.
Hello. The CredR philosophy, as I mentioned, has been born from very different experience. It has been born from personal experience because we were looking for a used two-wheeler, and from there we faced a lot of hassles to find a trusted source of a seller from whether a bike will work or not, to getting the right price, and to get to once we purchase a bike, what are the other um, convenience that is required, a lot of documentation and all. It was a very different experience that we faced when we were looking for a used two-wheeler. So as a used two-wheeler globally, there is not even a single company which is trying to solve it. So it was a very fresh approach when we were looking at building a block, being a very young company, 10 months old, and figuring out, evolving with continuous business models and revenue models, we realize that the product can be best built when we talk to a lot of sellers and buyers. And what we did is that we actually, like me, my founders, and the all top core group members, used to involve in the transaction business, because we were not a typical pure just a listing model. We were actually involved in transaction. We used to see how sellers react when they're trying to sell. When we tell them about this bike has this problem, this bike has this issue. Same on the buyer side, if they come to know this is a transparently how the prices are. So over the period of time, we realize how seller and buyer behave, and that eventually get integrated in the product. If you see the CredR product, it's very clearly mentions about how normal consumers like you and me will try to go without, let's say, I don't have a physical person, and how I can interact on the platform. This is how we have been evolving continuously, and and we will still evolve, because I think as we have just 40% of people up without seeing vehicle paying, we want to reach to 100%. Like people start building such a huge trust that they, without seeing two-wheelers or four-wheelers, they start paying us. So our product is going to continuously evolve on that. Yeah. So right now we transact around 100 vehicles per day. In 10 months, like we started with 4 vehicles per week transaction. Right now we do 100 bikes per day. So it's like 50 lakh per day transactions, which is like is growing enormously very high.
Thanks. So, it's audible, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, guys, I think very relevant things have been said on the in the platform today, right? So what's important, just to add to more of these things, couple of things which Nikhil also said. See, the product is your actually route to your business model. So whatever you have thought through in your mind, you want to execute that. Product is your vehicle. So it typically stays very close to people who have sort of the entire vision where the company has to go to, right? Has to be tightly guarded with your focus going into it, right? Never try to do 10 things together, right? So probably couple of guideline things which sort of helped us get to the success point really quickly. Don't change so many parameters so quickly to understand how people will behave towards it, right? And very important is immersing with both ends of the marketplace, assuming you're working on a marketplace idea, right? So for us, so we are a very unsexy business. So we are into freight. So our consumers are large companies to small traders. users. So it's more like SMEs and corporates are consumers. So Unilever, Asian Paints, Britannia, ITC, Coke. So any large company you name in India is our consumer of services today. And our sort of the marketplace on the supply side is basically these fragmented truck owners, right, who need demand. So it's very important for us to understand the psyche of that truck owner, right? So what's important to a truck owner, right? So is it the demand, right? Is it help in managing the entire assets well, right? So we really do not know. So what we did was initial part of the business when we were scaling to a particular level. We sort of scaled with our own inputs about learning about what they are. But after that, couple of you know uh, studies which we have done. So we commissioned a study, 2,000 truck owners and drivers across the country, what they believe in, hierarchy of their needs, right? And then completely align the product towards that, right? So your product has to, at the end, create value. Otherwise, a simple wind or a tide will just, swipe you out, right? So that value has to be so, crucial that they are completely sticking to your platform. So product is a route towards stickiness on your platform as well. So for a consumer, for us, it's like for relievers, it's managing 150 locations across the country, 1,500 truckloads across the country. So we are helping them manage it by simple one screen, right? They can just click around and understand what's happening, how to manage freight across the country, right? So product is basically the key to your business, guys.
So when we started, uh, we did not have a lot of exposure about how to build products, but something that was uh, really core to how we built was making observations in our uh, in our target audience, which was basically our own peer group. That how are they actually consuming news? If they are not consuming news, then why are they not consuming news? And uh, then if you closely observe, some people patterns emerge which are common to everyone. Like, if I just tell you that if you have seen anyone reading newspapers, everyone knows that people scan through 100 headlines, probably 15 stories, they'll read the first paragraph, and probably in 2 stories, they'll read the first and the last paragraph. So this this is the pattern that everyone knows. But has any product been built around that behavioral pattern? So that is what was really critical in our entire journey that making key observations, then supporting it by a theory as to why people are doing it, and then build a behavioral experience around that. Uh, so uh, we have not been uh, uh, very good at doing like 5 experiments and then finding out which one is very good and things like that. But we have been good at finding out what is the next big thing that is needed to enhance the news consumption or the staying informed experience as a whole. So keeping the purpose at hand and making key observations has been the core of how we build Inshorts. So basically how it manifests in the product is that it's always a very clean product, does not have does not have a lot of things to explore or discover. Whatever a person, a user A knows, a user B also knows with a very high probability. So there's a lot of consistency across the users. So whenever you introduce something new, you don't have to think about users, five user segments within your own product group. So there is a lot of consistent user segments in the same product. So that these kind of things actually help you go further one step at a time. So that's something that was very good to us.
So interestingly, I used to be working in Satyam Infoway when they plonked in $500 billion to buy Samachar.com and a few other piddly little sites from Rajesh Jain. And so what Samachar would do was just aggregate the headlines from all the newspapers and just put it in a one single web page. 500 billion for that? And we would always, so for you, I mean, you did exactly that, which is understand people's behavior, and you put it in a very no frills app for people to browse through, right? And was that when you were in your final year when you started to work on this? So what motivated you to come up with that, and how did you execute it? So my next question for all panelists is, now that you have this bulb going, wow, that's a great idea, and you got it implemented. How did you go about building the product, but importantly, how did you launch it so that everybody around knows?
Hello. Yeah. So something that was so for us, the first thing that behavioral pattern, we thought that okay, people want to read only one paragraph if they are interested in something. So the first thing that we launched was our Facebook page to test that. We started giving 60-word summaries to 10 top stories a day, and that page got like 1,000 likes organically within a week. It grew to around 10,000 likes within a month. So it was growing all organically. We thought, yeah, this is something that is definitely working. So what's the next step? So uh, then there were we just went to our feedback box in the Facebook page. We found that some people had said that, okay, you should make a smartphone app or mobile app or mobile app. We did not own smartphones at that time. So we thought, okay, let's buy a smartphone and see what it is. I was not even a WhatsApp user at that time. So I just uh, got a smartphone, and we uh, saw that, okay, this is definitely something we should do. So we just uh, launched those 10 stories in our mobile app as well. Uh, so that's how so till then our Facebook page had already got to like, we had invested some amount of uh, time to like promote the page amongst our peer group in news enthusiasts group. So there was a lot of audience that was already there. So the day we launched our mobile app, it was like within 2 to 3 days we got like around 1,000 downloads, and we had around 100 daily active users. So that basic daily active users, monthly active users, like basic data was already available with us. So I think that's this, like, you people usually ask, how do you get your first 1,000 users? So, and that is very important. So that's how we got our first 1,000 users.
Wow. No smartphone, didn't even know what WhatsApp was. Finally, a student. I'm sorry, how much did you raise? Wow. Phenomenal. Rachna?
So, we we got the first product out sometime in early 2014. But we did not launch it until, or at least I would say, we did not go and really announce in the world, oh, there's something called an Oxigen wallet, till August of 2014. The first 6 months were all about testing the whole application, and we did some soft launch of sorts where we would go to campuses, we would go to hangout zones and ask students to use the app and figure out what are the issues. I mean, get the feel of the app, get the first response from the customer, and take on board all the feedback that we got. So for the first 6 months was all about testing, and once we had tested the app, Then we launched it. It was a it was a digital launch. We did not have very big budgets, so it was a digital launch, so to speak. And for the next year or so, most of the promotions that we did was on the digital arena. It was uh, uh, anything which we did offline or which was not digital was essentially on ground activations and stuff. There was very little brand building, so to speak, because we just wanted to be absolutely 100% certain on the product before we went out into the television. And 2015 is when we went out in the television. And before we went on to the television, we ensured that we had a consumer research in place. A qualitative research is what I invested in. Got some feedback from customers in terms of how they existing customers, how they perceive Oxigen wallet, and customers of competition with respect to feedback on product, what are the features that they like about us. So very interestingly, there was one particular feature which was sending money to the bank turned out to be the biggest winning feature in our product vis-a-vis competition. And honestly speaking, while we have that feature, it's not something that I would love to promote, because for me, I would be much happier if the customer actually has money in the wallet and continues to keep using it within the ecosystem rather than transfer it in the bank. Having said that, this was one of the features that came out as the strongest point, and people found this to be the extreme, especially students who are staying in hostels, or staying in college campuses. Their parents would transfer money into their wallet, and they would then in turn transfer it instantly to the bank. If they did an NEFT transfer, it would essentially be a batch transfer and it would not be instant. So it came to rescue for people who wanted instant money into their accounts, something as large as 10,000 bucks. So I'm sitting in Kerala, but I wanted to send money to someone in Delhi, and it could be done instantly 24/7 at any time of the day or night. So those are features that came out, and those are the things that we took as nuggets of information. And when we started designing communication, we built on these nuggets of communication, which was sending out. So I don't know whether you've seen the Sachin films, who we've signed up as a brand ambassador. One of the films is when Sachin's son has left his wallet at home, and he is, as a father, he needs to send money to him, and he instantly sends that money. That's actually a real use case. So those are things that we have taken on board from customer speak, and around with our launch.
Thanks, Rachna.
So, just adding more points to it. So, our story was actually very different. What actually um, Deepit and Rachna has spoken about. So, for us, uh, the founding members were actually from logistics industry. So I was a buyer of freight for ITC, and I was buying about close to 150 crores of freight every year. So I knew very clear buying and also managing the freight. So I knew very clearly those pain points. So I was sort of a victim of that particular industry. So on the consumer side, we were, sort of bang on the product which we defined on day one stays, right? But what's important is that when we were looking at launching the business, you really cannot launch with your, you will definitely have a vision. You want to have a vision to be able to help the customer buy freight effectively, manage freight effectively, and be the partner of choice, right? So these are the three things which we drive with the consumer. For a truck owner, right, we really want to be an ecosystem for him to help him manage his entire business, be it truck inputs, be it his demand, be it his on-road support maintenance, right, driver ecosystem, everything, right? So, but there is hardly which you could, actually do to help him out with all these, right? So what's more important is how can you sort of have a roadmap, right? So in a sense, to customers, we were, giving, other than, transparency in terms of pricing, using Excel sheets, right, when we began, right? So what was very important and what worked for us very well was we kept rolling, right? So we kept implementing, going to the market, implemented whatever little we have built it, got the feedback back, and kept on, sort of improvising on it further and further. So product has taken a lot of maturity till date, right? But at the same time, uh, when there was an idea, when the path was very clear, what we did was execute, right? We went ahead in the market, got truck owners on board, pushed them the demand from the customers without any platform, right? So the platform was building up, right? It was a mere call center, right? So it's important that you have the vision of where you want to drive the business towards. It's also important to put a roadmap, because some problems, like in intercity freight, the cost of freight between fixed cost and variable cost is 50-50. There is a send a truck from Bangalore to Delhi, and if I don't give a load at Delhi and if I contract for the full trip, I lose 50% of the money. We didn't have a penny, right, when we started. So I really can't guarantee a truck owner, sort of earnings. But what I can is, the transparency from a customer, etc. So how do you build your product which sees to that end, but is also implementable today? Because some problems are problems of scale, some problems are problems of time, which you really can't solve, right? So give give your give your ecosystem, your consumers and your suppliers what you can give today and the best, basically. Yeah.
So I'd like to answer the question differently. There are two best practices I think anyone who wants to build a great product should follow, right? So one is invest in a great team. So I think right from day one, right, and we've had a long association with Amazon. So the co-founder used to work with Amazon. Amazon's the Series C investor in the company. Our first engineering team was drawn from Amazon. So right from day one, right, we invested in very strong talent. So we always had the temptation saying, hey, shall we build a sort of like a beta product? Let's outsource it. Let someone else build it, and then we'll figure out how to get it right. But the good thing we did is right from day one, right, product and tech was rock solid, and we went for the best talent we could find. Secondly, right, we believed in a platform-based approach, and our platform-based approach has been very useful to us because today we offer about 120 different products from various financial partners, each of whom has a completely different back-end process and workflow. But because we designed as a platform and because we refused to hack, right, we built in a very, very extendable format wherein no matter what the integration is, right, for example, we have the ability to configure our system to do that integration without having to touch code. So I think a platform-driven approach and a deep investment in product and tech, right, where some of the best calls we took back in 2008.
I think it all depends on the priority of what you are. If you're a new company, so I think the product priorities are like quarter by quarter focus. For us, when we started, our priority was to prove the business model, the revenue models, the scalability, rather than proving a product. So, so when we launched a product in Diwali last, like around 12 months back, so on that time, we started with Shopify. Before we raised a Series A, we still at Shopify because we feel that because if your message has to be really right, so Shopify people really don't admire if you're a pure tech company, will you able to build that? But for us, the more important was how to build a trust, transparency, and convenience rather than building the pure product. Then we realized, because we were also not aware what kind of product, what kind of services people will try to use it. So we're continuously evolving it. I think it's a matter of priorities uh, as your business is scaling up. But now, when we launched after, once we got right business model, got revenue model right, then the pure focus is product, because product helps you in differentiating from all other competitors, helps in differentiating about how your consumer experience is all about stickiness. And I think the people, like people, most of my friends, when I talk to them, he says, till the time my product is built till this level, I won't execute it. Uh, it I think it won't work generally. I think it is more of, you launch a small product, you make it launch, let people interact, depending upon the experience that consumers are facing, you continuously evolve it till the time what you call is minimal viable product, or product to market fit product. Like first is MVP, and then product to market fit is there. I think then your actual product differentiation start happening. And to be very frank, we built on that, and now our product is really very different, because we never had any direct global company to follow. So we continuously evolve how the product has to be. So our product is really very different, but it took us around 10 months to build that product, and of course continuously we're still evolving it.
Any questions for the panelists? Go ahead. So we're going to have the mics passed around, please. Can I borrow one of yours? Yeah.
Hi, Dinesh here. My first question to Rachna, how you are different from Paytm, and what weapons will you use to compete the Paytm? And my second question to all.
So that's a very tough question, by the way. So I think one of the biggest, Paytm is a great product, and I also use Paytm. I use my competition. It's important to know what your competition is doing. And I think the biggest, I would say the best feature that Paytm brought in was the Uber piece. I don't know how many of you have used the Uber technology. Now Uber has started using cash, but I still prefer Paytm because I feel that the process is so seamless. Now, answering your first question, most of the things that we have done in the Oxigen wallet, we've always been having the first mover advantage. Whether it was, I just mentioned one use case, which was sending money to the bank. That was something which was a completely unique product which was with us. Today we have something like a Visa prepaid, which is something that Paytm does not have. And when we launched in 2014, we also announced the social money transfer, which was essentially you being able to transfer money via any social media platform. So these are 2-3 things that we brought on board. Going forward, we have some other plans as well. Um, uh, and I mean, so these are some of the points which, I mean, just to answer your question, what is it that's different about our product from Paytm? These are the ones that are there. And how do I wish to combat Paytm? I guess in a mobile wallet space, the only thing that's going to be the differentiator is, by and large, most of the things that we offer are very similar, you know. So the thing that is actually going to be in the long run and sustained on a sustained basis, the differentiator is your user interface and your product, really speaking. You know, you have this entire community of players which are giving out a lot of discounts and cashbacks. Unfortunately, Oxigen is right now self-funded, and we do not have that kind of deep pockets to be able to attract customers based on cashbacks and discounts. Having said that, it's not that we don't give them, but we use it in a very measured fashion. When we have to induce trial for a new product or a feature, when we sign up for a new merchant, or when there is a topical celebration that's happening, then we give it for maybe a day or two. But we do not have that kind of a model where we'll attract customers over a cashback and discount, and then find that there is not much stickiness that's happening. We may be slower than maybe some of our competitions because of that, but that's something which is a conscious effort, and we are happy with it.
Yeah, whoever has the mic, go ahead, sir.
The question is for you. My name is Manish. Since you are a news aggregator and you're fetching data from RSS feeds and all, so do you have a backup plan? For example, if tomorrow the content company stop giving data to you, so what will be the backup plan that you have thought of?
So uh, we have content partners, but the 60-word summaries that we write are our own content. Plus, one, so these are wire subscriptions that are available to anyone in the market. Those, after we write the 60-word summaries, we take, if someone is interested in reading the full story, give a link to one of the original publishers whom we think has done a very good job of writing the full stories piece. So actually we are not obliged, but we choose to give whom, like, the the publication whom to give the full link to. So uh, it's on our side rather than on their side.
Yeah, so interestingly, there's this company called Blinkist that started offering short summaries of best-selling books. So immediately the booksellers came up and had, how can you make money out of making a shorter version of my book? But actually, they started benefiting because people would read the smaller version and they would actually go and buy the books. So the sales actually shot up. So it's a good. Yes.
I've got a question for Deepit. What's your revenue model? And has it been same still when you first started out working on this project?
So currently we are not doing any revenues. We would want to go into some kind of native sponsored content, but again we do not want to go into the model of the highest bidder takes all eyeballs model. We would want to maintain the neutrality of a sponsored content as well as a informative content for a person who is consuming it. So so that it's we've done some experiments around it, but we have not done any revenues around it yet, and it's been the same since the beginning, and we have proved some hypotheses around it already.
It's got no advertisements whatsoever.
No.
All right.
Okay, the next question cannot be
Can I go next? Yeah. My question is for Rachna. Rachna, my name is Jain. So I want to ask you that how do you see two-level authentication in the wallet space impacting usage of wallets? One, and how do you see people, financially involved customers understanding that a wallet doesn't earn me interest, whereas a card does, the opposite. So how do you see these two things impacting your business?
So your first point, which is your two-factor authentication, I think the way we have built our app he is logged in, you know, and he's making that transaction, he is just using that password that he has got for the wallet himself. So when you're making a transaction, and I don't know whether you've used a wallet, an Oxigen wallet vis-a-vis a credit card, you would realize that the process of that in both cases you're using the password only once. And in our case, once you have logged in, then when you're making a transaction within the app, within the ecosystem, you do not need to use the password again. But when you're going out of the ecosystem, you just use the password once. So it's almost the same thing as what you do for a credit card. The only difference being that in a credit card, you need to wait for that OTP to come. And here, the OTP is something which is yours, and you can change it anytime you want, and which is how it functions. Now, on the second piece, which was your question on, sorry, what was the second question?
The wallet doesn't earn me any interest,
So
while plastic does otherwise.
So see, I don't think that the wallet has to be seen like a credit card, really speaking. There are several benefits to having a wallet, and a person who's financially evolved will be able to completely understand the difference between a credit card and a mobile wallet. I, for example, have worked in a credit card company, and when I joined the wallet, my first question was, why the hell do I need a wallet when I have a credit card? It was only after perforce, because my reimbursements came into my wallet and I started using it, that I and working on the product, was when I understood the difference as to why I would use, on what situation I would use a wallet, vis-a-vis why I would use a credit card. Now, the way to combat this whole piece to that financially evolved customer is, whatever said and done, your maximum exposure is the amount that you have put in the wallet, right? And I think that's a very, very big factor, because many people find that to be the biggest deterrent. Okay? And the second piece is, of course, the fact that, you know, the transaction process with a wallet vis-a-vis a credit card is far, far more seamless. The friction, so to speak, at the stage of payment, when you're doing the check, after the checkout and you're getting into the payment point, the friction is so minimal that